In this segment, Stephanie Miller is joined by Dean Obeidallah. Together, they discuss all things Trump and the law. Here's Stephanie.
Done by Biden. Carried out by that's right, all being done by him. Carried out by radical Democrats.
So you've started with your lawyer hat on, but you made another good point about the media, Dean, on Twitter. You said Trump falls asleep in court again, third time this week. If Biden fell asleep at an event, that is all the corporate media would talk about. And if Biden fell asleep 3 times in a week, the media would be saying he doesn't have the stamina to be president, but not the same media coverage when it's Trump. I mean, it really is astounding, isn't it?
It's unbelievable to see. We all know this. They'd be invoked. They'd be saying you have to use the 25th Amendment to remove Joe Biden. He can't be president. He doesn't have what it takes. Donald Trump falls asleep. And I'm not trying to defend the corporate media. The only thing is they don't have video of it. So perhaps they're like, well, is it true or not? But Maggie Haven from the New York Times and others reported that he fell asleep. I wish we had video. Then it would be definitive. It would play over and over and over again. Donald Trump doesn't have the stamina. He's a different person than when he left office. He was horrible then. Now he's horrible and cognitively impaired at 77. Going to be 78 in a few months.
Yeah,
the guy just
in a couple of months.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, in June, a couple of months, I believe. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, Dean, and you said it best. I saw you on Eamon this weekend, but you said Trump repeatedly falling asleep in court is worse for him than a conviction. People might not follow the legal case or dismiss it as politics, but everyone gets 77-year-old Trump not having the stamina to stay awake. That is deadly to his campaign. I mean, these courtroom sketches, all of it, even without cameras, Dean. You're right. I mean, as someone said, when you're running against Sleepy Joe, you have one job. That is, do not fall asleep in public. And he can't even do that.
I could. To me, it's such a clear thing because, look, not everyone is like us and your listeners and my listeners following the details of the case and knowing the evidence and knowing what's going on. But everybody gets that the man is falling asleep 3 times in the first week of his trial where he's facing 34 felonies. So, like, what's going on? Yeah. Is he on medication? Is he just too old? And that cuts through it. And also, let's add something else. Colbert, Jon Stewart, Jimmy Kimmel all made fun of him, made him a punchline again. Yeah. And he hates that. I actually think Trump is ready for a conviction. He's already delegitimized the results of a jury verdict to his followers. But him falling asleep over and over and again, you can't immunize yourself from that. It just shows America you don't got it.
Yeah.
And that's such a big issue. So I think it should be amplified more.
Well, speaking of medication, I know you've had Noel Casler on too. And, you know, he tweeted, what you're seeing regarding Trump in court is who he's been for decades. Addiction produces dysfunction. Half the time he would cancel shoots on Celebrity Apprentice and nobody scheduled him before late afternoon. I've been around a lot of addicts in my career. I'm in recovery myself, and Trump was the worst. The other big story the media misses is what a complete drug addict Trump is and has always been. Allegedly?
Absolutely.
Allegedly.
Well, I know it's not allegedly, but you could say that.
just to cover our ass, yes.
Exactly. But in all seriousness, and that's not a joke, and why I pointed that out was not so much the substance use, as I've said on your show before. If you can do your job and you take substances, more power to you. I was a road manager for 70-year-old rock stars. Yeah. If you can do the gig, it's fine. But if you're in active addiction, it means you're going to be motivated by self-centeredness, by resentment, by anger, by all these what we call character defects. And that's who Trump is, and that's what's so dangerous about him, is that he's incapable of thinking about anybody but himself, and that's the last thing you want in a leader.
I mean, he's been talking about, what everyone's known of, was the truth for years about him. But you're seeing this now, that he has to sit there. And I'm like going, are his lawyers dosing him so he'll shut the F up? I don't know, but he looks terrible.
It's not a good look for a jury. I had on, a former prosecutor on my radio show on Friday who said that someone falling asleep once is one thing. You fall asleep numerous times, it makes a jury think like you don't care about this case. Yeah. You don't care about them. And add to the fact that Donald Trump is the first defendant that many prosecutors ever saw who didn't stand up when the jury came in and look at them and smile and nod their head. He just sat there. So his lawyers would stand up, the prospective jurors come in. He was being disrespectful from the beginning. Jurors are human beings. They should assess the evidence. But the credibility of the defendant plays a role. And liking the defendant or not liking plays a little role around the edges. Doesn't mean you convict him because you despise the guy. But if the evidence go either way, you're like, this guy doesn't care about any of this. Yeah. He's so arrogant. He thinks he's above it all. Let's convict him. That's what they should do.
Well, Dean, as a lawyer, would you be nervous? Like I was saying last week during, picking the jury, I feel like if you don't think he's a despicable POS, like there's something wrong with you. I feel like that you automatically have a pro-Trump bias if you say, oh, yeah, I can be fair. I don't have an opinion about him. I mean, I just get nervous that he only needs one, right, for a hung jury or a mistrial.
Right. Look, if they put me in the prospective juror box, I would have said I could be fair. You know, a fair trial, a fair conviction, a fair life in prison. I think there are people who – I saw some interviews with some jurors who weren't chosen.
Yeah.
And what is amazing, and I hope people watch it, they take it very seriously. Mm-hmm. People are like, yes, I can be fair, I can't be fair, or this is an important trial.
Yeah.
People get it. I had some jury trials. Not a lot of – I didn't do criminal, I did civil. But I had some jury trials. The jury comes back with a verdict that actually lines up with common sense generally. There are exceptions, but collectively you get them in there, and they talk about it forget the law. It's common sense. Here's the facts. Here's what the law is. Yeah, I think the person's liable or not liable, and here the damage.
If you were the attorney on this case, though, Dean, aren't you concerned that these are the most blatant examples of witness tampering, right, and jury intimidation that I've seen between him and his sycophants on Fox or wherever? Is that not a concern? You've got one woman in tears already, right? I mean, you know,
right.
They said, I can't do this. Obviously, they figured out who she is.
I think that you make a great point. Let's be clear. Donald Trump and Fox News already has tampered with his jury. Juror number 2, and that was the juror that Jesse Waters attacked and Trump amplified it. Juror number 2 was going to be on this jury. Came in the next day before the trial began and said a few days ago, I can't be on this. I'm concerned about being biased or not because people figured out who she was. So already Trump and Fox News has tampered with his jury because a judge had to excuse her and said she would have been a good juror. She was taking it seriously. She was fair and open-minded. So they've already tampered with it. I wrote an article for Substack for my newsletter about what John Gotti did because everyone calls Trump the Teflon Don after Gotti and the Dapper Don. In the Gotti's case, they intimidated a witness, and that person goes to court and doesn't identify Gotti. In an earlier trial, go, I can't be sure who the guy who beat me up was because they had intimidated him. The second one, a juror lied, withheld information, got on the jury. Gotti paid him $60,000, and that juror helped lead to a not guilty verdict. Ultimately, that juror was charged and convicted with obstructing justice later. You have to worry about this. And Steph, there's another thing. There are Republicans who are billionaires who want Trump to get in there for a tax cut, for less regulations. They have millions to make. I'm not saying a billionaire who goes to a Trump rally or Trump event will give money, but why wouldn't they invest in $50,000 to pay off a juror or $100,000?
Right.
I think there's another level to this that is not just criminal. It's economic. It's investors. They're not donators. They're Trump investors.
What happens with the gag order hearing tomorrow? So we're at least 7 times that he's violated the gag order. What happens, do you think?
Well, the judge is going to have a hearing. I think the judge is going to fine Trump. I don't think he's going to imprison him. I think he's going to fine him. I think he's going to lay down the law, so to speak, about future violations. But it's not going to be as simple as your next violation is this penalty. Your next violation is that. It's going to be about how egregious the next violation is. And if he does it in front of the judge in court, say he says stuff about a juror or anything along those lines, the judge right there can hold Trump instantly in contempt. It's the statements out of a court that necessitate these hearings. So the hearing's a fair thing. It's frustrating to us. You're like, he clearly violated your gag order, right? So I hope you see fines tomorrow. I hope you see the judge say, look, this is going to go up and we're going to lead to you loss of liberty and you're going to be in a prison cell for a day. And I don't care what people say. Trump wants this. It helps him. No, it doesn't help anyone to go to jail.
Yeah.
All right. It doesn't help anyone to be in a prison cell.
Yeah.
Trump loses his liberty. He will go nuts. He'll join a prison gang pretty quickly. But besides that, he's not going to want to go to jail.